wood that we got, if it says that's, pre-money pit discovery, then yeah, then you pretty much have to say, geez, very good chance part of the flood tunnel. If that data comes back old, we're right back at this thing.
For more than 220 years, Oak Island has guarded its secrets like a locked tomb. Hidden beneath layers of stone, flood tunnels, and failed excavations lies a mystery that has consumed explorers, historians, and treasure hunters for generations. But in the 2026 investigation, something changed, something that may finally crack the island's silence forever. In a revelation that stunned even the most seasoned researchers, Marty Lagina confirmed the discovery of a vault-like structure buried deep beneath Oak Island. Its design, placement, and materials do not match anything from colonial history. This was not random debris, not a collapsed shaft, not another false alarm. What the scans revealed was a sealed space, deliberately constructed and intentionally hidden. For decades, whispers of the Knights Templar have surrounded Oak Island like an impossible legend. Strange symbols, ancient stone alignments, foreign materials that should never have existed there. Most people dismiss them as coincidence or myth. But now, for the first time, those scattered clues appear to point towards something real and something massive. Experts are already calling this a turning point in the Oak Island mystery, a discovery that could finally explain why the island was engineered with such precision and why generations before may have gone to extraordinary lengths to protect what was buried below. And if you enjoy mysteries, hidden history, and discoveries that challenge everything we thought we knew, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what was uncovered beneath Oak Island may change this story forever. The breakthrough came after months of precision scanning. Ground-penetrating radar detected a massive void nearly 180 feet below the swamp zone, sealed in a way that defied natural explanation. The chamber appeared on no historical excavation map. According to geological models, it shouldn't even exist. But the data told a different story. Metallic density readings came back too organized, too deliberate to be coincidence. The structure ran parallel to a secondary tunnel, never documented in any known 18th century recovery attempt. When the scans appeared on screen, Marty's response was measured but unmistakable. This could be the original vault. For the Lagina brothers, this was no longer just another anomaly. It was the structural footprint they had spent years searching for, evidence of engineering far older and far more sophisticated than anything linked to early settlers or treasure hunters. Then came the first physical evidence. When the team breached the chamber's outer seal, they uncovered a hand-carved limestone slab resting near the entrance, worn by time, marked by erosion, and preserved beneath layers of marine clay. The stone carried a weathered cross pate, the same symbol historically associated with the Knights Templar. Carbon dating suggested the artifact predated any known colonial settlement in the region, older than the first European maps of Nova Scotia itself. But what shocked researchers most was not only the symbol, it was the preservation method. Marine clay had been carefully used as a sealant to protect the chamber from saltwater corrosion, suggesting the builders possessed an advanced understanding of geology and long-term preservation centuries ahead of their time. And along the edge of the slab, hidden beneath calcified buildup, were faint geometric inscriptions. When archaeologists compared them with historical records, they found an astonishing match. Markings connected to Scotland's famous Rosslyn Chapel, a site long surrounded by Templar legends. For the first time, the connection was no longer theoretical. It was physical, carved in stone, hidden beneath Oak Island for centuries. As the excavation pushed deeper into the bedrock, the radar scans began revealing something the team had never encountered before. Beneath the chamber, metallic echoes appeared at perfectly even intervals. These readings weren't chaotic or scattered like natural debris. They formed repeating patterns, aligned too precisely to be accidental. Rick decided to move carefully. Instead of forcing a full excavation, he ordered a micro-drill probe to retrieve trace samples without destabilizing the chamber. When the sample container returned to the surface, the results stunned everyone watching. Inside was quartz residue mixed with tiny flakes of refined gold. This wasn't raw mineral pulled from a natural vein. The particles showed signs of heating, hammering, and shaping, evidence of crafted material, the kind associated with ceremonial relics rather than buried coins or treasure bars. For one of the first times during the investigation, Rick abandoned his usual restraint. "We may not be searching for a legend anymore," he said quietly. "We may be standing directly above it." That statement spread instantly across Oak Island research communities around the world. Because if refined gold existed beneath the island long before recorded European settlement in Nova Scotia, then the mystery had become something far greater than a treasure hunt. It had become a search for forgotten history. But the next breakthrough didn't come from underground. It came from Europe. Inside the French naval archives at La Rochelle, a historian studying colonial shipping routes uncovered a faded chart dated to 1701. The map was fragile, stained with age, and nearly overlooked entirely. Yet one phrase written across its surface immediately captured attention: the island of lost gold. After researchers corrected the coordinates for centuries of magnetic drift, the location aligned almost perfectly with Oak Island. But the real shock was hidden in the margins. Written in a mixture of Latin and Old French were references to the coffers of the temple, sealed beneath engineered stone traps designed to collapse if intruders attempted to enter. When the Lagina brothers compared the old sketch to their current excavation grid, the similarity was impossible to ignore. The vault they had uncovered sat almost exactly where the ancient chart marked the central chamber. Marty called it unbelievable. Rick saw it differently. "If someone mapped this centuries ago," he said, "then the secret survived long after the Templars disappeared." Again and again, researchers found themselves drawn back to a mysterious name erased from multiple French shipping ledgers, a vessel known as La Rochelle's Ghost. According to legend, the ship vanished during the Templar arrests of 1307. Some historians believed it escaped France under another identity and sailed west across the Atlantic, carrying sacred relics and hidden archives. Now, the recovered chart appeared to support that theory. Oak Island may never have been random at all. It may have been the final destination of a carefully planned mission, a hidden sanctuary created to protect something the outside world was never meant to recover. Then came another discovery. While workers cleared packed sediment from a newly identified tunnel, one crew member noticed a faint metallic glimmer trapped inside the limestone wall. At first, it looked insignificant, almost like a corroded wire, but after extraction, the object revealed itself to be part of a delicate brass chain, fused into the surrounding rock over centuries. Under magnification, tiny engraved Templar crosses became visible on every link. This wasn't ordinary jewelry. Researchers identified it as ceremonial regalia, likely connected to high-ranking members of the Templar Order. Laboratory analysis only deepened the mystery. The alloy composition matched 13th century French metallurgy and closely resembled chains recovered from known Templar burial sites near Poitiers. The soldering methods, metal purity, and craftsmanship all pointed toward medieval Europe, which meant the artifact predated any officially recorded European arrival in the Americas by more than a century. But the object hidden beneath the chain proved even more extraordinary. Carefully buried below layers of compacted earth was a small, sealed lead container. Time had heavily corroded its surface, yet the seams remained protected with hardened wax and resin. Inside, conservators discovered a folded fragment of parchment, astonishingly preserved by centuries of oxygen-deprived mud. As specialists slowly opened it under controlled humidity conditions, faded lines of medieval French writing began to emerge. The translated text sent shockwaves through the room. It referenced the Great Ark and warned of the secret beneath the rose, phrases long associated with hidden Templar teachings and sacred relics removed from Jerusalem during the Crusades. Handwriting experts compared the script to preserved clerical samples stored in the French National Archives. One match stood out immediately. A Templar scribe, active in Paris until the exact year the order was destroyed in 1307. And then researchers uncovered something hidden even deeper within the document. Using infrared imaging, linguists detected subtle letter patterns embedded across the parchment. When arranged together, the initials formed a concealed acrostic: Domus Dei, House of God. To Templar historians, that phrase carried enormous significance. It referred to the order's most protected inner sanctum, the place believed to safeguard their holiest relics before they vanished from Europe forever. Rick stood silently over the translation table for several moments before finally speaking. "Whoever buried this never intended for it to be found easily," he said, "but they did want the right people to understand it." At that point, the discoveries no longer felt disconnected. The map, the chain, the parchment. Together, they formed a single trail stretching from medieval France across the Atlantic Ocean and ending beneath the swamps of Oak Island. To the Lagina brothers, the conclusion was becoming impossible to ignore. The vault was real. It had been intentionally built, carefully protected, and hidden for reasons that went far beyond gold or treasure. And what came next suggested the mystery wasn't only historical, it was technological. Whoever designed the underground defenses possessed knowledge of engineering, navigation, and concealment centuries ahead of what historians believed possible at the time. Following that realization, the team adjusted their drilling coordinates and began testing the area beyond the newly discovered vault alignment. What they uncovered changed everything again. The next chamber wasn't natural stone, and it wasn't collapsed debris. It was engineered. As the drill cut deeper through layers of sediment, the borehole camera captured something no one expected to see: a structure made of wood and brass. What appeared next beneath the island didn't look natural at all. Interlocked through the bedrock was a massive lattice of timber and brass, woven together with deliberate precision. This wasn't some random underground formation. It was engineered, a defensive system built to guard whatever lay deeper below. The wooden beams connected to brass pulleys, water valves, and counterweights arranged in a cross-shaped mechanism. Every piece interacted with another like parts of a giant machine. One wrong move could trigger flooding, collapse the chamber, or destroy the vault entirely. At that moment, the team realized something chilling. Whoever built this place never intended for it to be opened. They intended for it to survive intruders. What shocked engineers most was the sophistication of the design. The structure displayed craftsmanship far beyond what should have existed in the 1300s. Every angle, every fitted joint, every brass component reflected an extraordinary level of precision. Maritime specialists later examined the system and noticed something unsettlingly familiar. The mechanism closely resembled medieval ship-rigging technology, the same pulley systems once used on seafaring vessels to raise anchors and balance cargo during storms. That observation changed the entire theory. The builders may not have been ordinary masons at all. They may have been Templar sailors, fugitives fleeing Europe by sea, using their shipbuilding knowledge to create an underground fortress hidden beneath Oak Island. For Rick, the discovery completely transformed the investigation. "This wasn't built to be discovered," he said. "It was built to destroy itself if anyone got too close." The crew eventually gave the structure a name, the Guardian Mechanism, and from that point forward, every drill movement became dangerous. Vibrations were monitored constantly, because a single mistake could activate a chain reaction buried underground for centuries. But the mysteries weren't limited to the vault itself. Using advanced LiDAR scans to map the island's surface, researchers uncovered another astonishing pattern hidden beneath dense brush and uneven terrain. Stone markers began appearing across the island, in deliberate alignments stretching from Smith's Cove to the Money Pit and across the swamp. At first glance, they seemed random, but when the coordinates were digitally connected, a perfect geometric cross emerged. And it wasn't just symbolic. Each point aligned with known excavation zones and underground anomalies previously dismissed as natural formations. Then Marty rotated the digital model to match celestial positioning. The room fell silent. The layout mirrored the constellation Orion with near-perfect accuracy. The same stellar pattern appeared in ancient Templar navigation charts. It was too precise to ignore. The island itself had been designed as a map, a celestial code hidden in earth and stone, intended to be understood only by those who could read the stars. Rick stared at the screen as the alignment stabilized. The Money Pit, Smith's Cove, and the newly discovered vault all matched the 3 stars of Orion's belt. That realization changed everything. Oak Island wasn't simply hiding treasure. It had been constructed like an instrument, a massive symbolic machine built with sacred geometry and astronomical precision. Every tunnel, every chamber, every buried structure appeared connected to a single protected center, and whatever rested there was clearly more important than gold alone. Then came the discovery the crew would later call the Rose Gate. Following the newly mapped cross alignment, drilling operations eventually broke into another hidden cavity. Unlike the earlier chambers, this one wasn't reinforced with timber. Its walls were lined with polished limestone, and standing at the center was a sealed stone archway. Carved into it was a striking image, a blooming rose wrapped in vines and intersecting crosses. The symbol immediately caught the attention of historians. It closely resembled the Rosy Cross, an emblem later associated with Rosicrucian traditions, groups many researchers believe inherited elements of surviving Templar teachings. At that point, doubt disappeared. This was no ordinary chamber. This appeared to be the entrance to the island's central vault, and the scans confirmed something enormous beyond the gate. Metal density readings spiked higher than anything previously recorded on Oak Island. The signals were dense, organized, and completely enclosed within the chamber. Whatever lay behind the Rose Gate contained an immense quantity of metal, possibly gold. The magnetometers struggled to maintain stable readings because the concentration itself distorted the instruments. For the first time in the investigation, the evidence no longer felt speculative. Something massive truly existed beneath the island. Rick immediately halted manual drilling operations. Nobody wanted to risk triggering another collapse mechanism. Conservation specialists were brought in, using fiber optic cameras and non-invasive imaging tools to explore the cavity safely. A tiny lens was threaded through a borehole barely wider than a pencil. Then, the live feed appeared. At first, the screen showed only limestone walls coated in centuries of silt. Then a faint flash emerged in the darkness. Gold. Not imagination, not distortion. A real reflection illuminated by the LED beam. As the camera adjusted, more flashes appeared. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Objects buried beneath layers of sediment shimmered throughout the chamber, like scattered firelight, frozen in time. The crew stood speechless. A hidden vault filled with gold had remained sealed beneath Oak Island for more than 6 centuries. Rick didn't say anything at first. He simply stared at the monitor, disbelief and realization written across his face. Because this no longer felt like treasure hunting. It felt like uncovering a message left behind across generations. Then the camera captured something even more extraordinary. As the image sharpened, the scattered reflections gave way to recognizable forms. At the center of the chamber stood a single object resting atop a limestone pedestal. An ornate chalice. Its silhouette was unmistakable, a wide ceremonial bowl, a flared rim, and a stem wrapped in intricate vine-like engravings. When the artifact was finally recovered days later, the room reportedly fell silent. The chalice looked ancient, but unlike ordinary gold artifacts, its surface carried a softer, deeper glow. Laboratory testing soon revealed why. The cup had been forged from Byzantine gold fused with Frankish silver, a rare metallurgical blend not seen since the medieval era. Every engraved detail reflected 2 worlds united together, East and West, connected through secrecy, faith, and craftsmanship. Along the inner rim, researchers discovered a Latin inscription, Veritas sub rosa, truth beneath the rose. The phrase carried deep Templar significance. It referred to sacred vows of silence and hidden confessions protected from the outside world after the fall of the Order. Rick looked at the chalice quietly before finally speaking. This may be the artifact they gave their lives to protect. No one answered. Every camera remained fixed on the relic as its golden surface reflected across the room, a shadow from another century returning to light. But the discovery didn't stay secret for long. News of the find spread rapidly, eventually reaching the Vatican. Within weeks, officials from the Vatican's Department of Sacred Antiquities formally requested access to the archaeological reports, metallurgical studies, and high-resolution imagery. The tone of the communication was serious, direct, and highly confidential. Rick's team submitted the evidence through official archaeological channels. Soon afterward, a Vatican archivist contacted the crew personally with information that stunned everyone involved. According to papal inventory records dating back to 1312, the chalice closely matched a missing reliquary believed lost during the destruction of the Templar archives. Historical documents claimed the relic once contained sacred fragments connected to the early Church of Jerusalem, objects supposedly carried from the Holy Land during the Crusades. The last recorded custodian of the artifact was the Templar Grand Preceptor of France, shortly before the Order's arrest and collapse. After that, the records ended completely. For more than 600 years, the relic had vanished from history. Now, it had resurfaced beneath Oak Island. And suddenly, the mystery was no longer just archaeological. It had become international. But sacred relics introduced an entirely different question. Not just who owned them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into hidden history and ancient mysteries, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more discoveries, lost secrets, and untold stories from the past.